Hey everyone, welcome to the Week 9 RotoWire Fantasy Football Start Sit Show. I'll give you the why so you can make your best lineup decision. Trying to just give you the straight what because honestly, it probably doesn't do you a whole lot of good just to give you the what. So let's roll with this thing here. We'll go through some injuries a little bit later. Hopefully, we get some inactives probably about 40 minutes from now, and we'll figure things out there. Rankings are on the screen. I did not put the red and the green tags on this week for upside and downside. I tried to do that. I got too much work to do today, but that's fine. Let's get to the questions. The way to beat the line, which can be quite a significant line. Last week, there were over 1,000 people there. I did not get to every question. I apologize for that. But if you really, really, really have to beat the line, the super chat function is there. When I see the number pop up on the screen, I do answer it. It's tiny, so I don't always see it immediately. But as soon as I do see it, I do answer those super chat questions. All right, and I'll give the why, but I'll try to go quicker because, again, these answers are piling up. I want everybody to have an opportunity to get theirs answered. All right. Start out with Trey. Tillman or Dubs? You know what? I'm going to give Tillman the edge here. It's going to be wet. Dennis Michelson, timeout. Dennis Michelson at DMIC, DMIC Media on the X. He has been a meteorologist for over 3 decades. He's a big time fantasy football analyst. He understands the connection of weather and this. And I want everybody to hear this for the Green Bay Detroit game. There is expected to be rain throughout. The rain could get heavier after the second quarter. On the one side of the ball, Jordan Love, remember, he has a groin injury. If it's wet, that could be problematic if he has to move around a bit more. So the Packers could have a more set game plan that keeps him in the pocket, a little more quick out with the ball. That's possible. And if it becomes real problematic, just be careful because there could be an opportunity for re-injury. So be careful. I also think that both teams, Jared Goff has his issues when there's weather outside, and it's going to be rainy and a little bit of wind, and the wind could pick up a bit. So again, Dennis Michelson tells me this is a game we have to watch out for the weather. So all that said, I think there could be more running than usual. We could see a little bit truncated or slow passing attack. I'm giving Tillman the edge here. Tillman doesn't have the greatest matchup, but top 2 corners are down for the Chargers. And I do think the Browns are going to come in running the ball. I think they're going to run it down the Chargers' throats, but play action. Tillman's a downfield threat. Jameis Winston does like to throw that downfield pass. So I'm giving Tillman, he's a boom bust play. He's not getting those 8 or 11 targets here. But I do think he's in a better position than Dobbs in this game because of the weather and the Green Bay game. All right, I wanted to give that to everybody for the Green Bay Detroit game, and I won't go through that level of detail with Green Bay Detroit because I've given that now. So here we go. Pollard is expected to play per Adams. They did not elevate a running back from the practice squad. So for me, that really does tell me something. And I want to see if I get that blue off that screen for the rankings here, so if I can find it for you guys. Here, let's take that blue off there. Good, better. All right, that's better. All right. So as we're saying here, I do think that Pollard's expected to play. He missed all the practices, but they didn't elevate him in the practice squad. I don't think they're ready to give Julius Chestnut a massive workload. They haven't yet. So I do think we're giving Pollard a strong edge over Justice Hill and Dalvin Cook. Justice Hill, you know how it goes. There are games where he gets targets and it works. I think that they are going to remember Denver's quick up front. I think the power running game is how you beat them. So I love Pollard here. Dalvin Cook, look, he's gonna get a few touches. He didn't look good last week. I don't think he's gonna look good any week. Could he fall in the end zone? Sure, but I'm playing Pollard. As Pollard's on the field, Pollard's playing. United St. Anthony, Puka, Reed, or Stevenson. So first of all, sit Puka at your own peril because we saw last game. He had 2 days of practice. They opened his window. Probably shouldn't even have been on the field. He goes 100 yards. You can't sit. If Puka plays, you can't sit him. But you got to make the decision early. Now, if you want to – so here's the deal. If you want the safest play, Ramondre Stevens is a pretty safe play this week. He should be in a very good position here playing Tennessee. Again, Tennessee's numbers show they're a great run defense. They haven't played much anybody. When they play somebody, you can run easily on them. Stevenson, great broken tackle rate, great yards after contact. I was my running back 23. He is a very stable play. But here's what I would probably do. I would leave Puka and Reed. And if Puka's, Mark, got to move my mic here. Can't really do well without the mic in front of my face. So Puka would be in my lineup. And then if he's deactivated, then you put Reed in, call it a day. And that would take care of it. I would just go that route because, again, it's nearly impossible to sit Puka Nacua when he's on the field. All right. Waddle, Cooper, Worthy, or Puka. So, look, Waddle and Cooper, we don't know what their target's going to be. We know they're exceptional players. We know Cooper's going to play despite being limited with a wrist injury. Sounds like he's fine. Waddle, he had a 100-yard game in week 1 with Tua. He did 4 for 40 against the Bills in the first meeting, but Tua got knocked out in the third quarter. Getting Waddle in there, getting Cooper in there. And then here's what I'll do. If Puka's active, he plays. If Puka's inactive, you pivot to Worthy as a Monday night play. Worthy 8 targets in the last 2 games, but you see the yardage has been garbage. I predicted the touchdown last week. He got it. Tampa's not a good defense, but DeAndre Hopkins is there. He's going to take more targets each week. So Worthy's the pivot for Puka if Puka doesn't play. Cousins or Stafford. The only worry with Cousins is that they can run so successfully on Dallas that they don't need to pass. Remember, Cousins' only 2 big fantasy games came against Tampa Bay this year, who's decent against the run, but horrible against the pass. Otherwise, Cousins is normally 240 or less, 2 touchdowns or less. Stafford, here's the thing. I'm trying to think of that. That's an early game. The Dallas game is an early game. I should put the schedule. Let me put the schedule up here because I never remember times of these games sometimes that I'm doing this. So let me just do this right away. Schedule. And Dallas is an early game. So the Stafford thing with Puka's status up in the air, I think he's going to play, but I would just go with the floor of Cousins. Stafford had the 4 touchdowns last week, but again, I would go with Cousins because it's safe, because if Puka's ruled out, Stafford's ceiling goes down quickly. So they're close enough where don't take the risk on it. And I have Cousins ranked as my quarterback 11. Again, they might not have to throw a lot, but they should throw enough. I got a super chat question. Foxborough News. Remember, that's the way to jump the line. If you want to jump the line, that's your path to success on that. Foxborough News, 16-man half PPR. You got Dowdle Eckler, Deontay Johnson, and Cedric Tillman for a flex play. Who do you like best? Atlanta is decent against the run. They're like middling, so it's not like an easy matchup for Dowdle. I think Dowdle probably gets you 14 touches in this game. Eckler, it's really tough to call. He had a garbage touch against the Bears at the end of the half when the half was over. They just gave him the ball. He had like a 30-yard run, and the Bears were in a prevent. Tough call there. Deontay Johnson probably gets limited work in his first game. I don't think he's going to see a bunch of targets. Also, those outside corners he faces, it's no joke. So I would say this. Tillman, Dowdle probably has a moderate floor, but I think Tillman can match that floor. You heard me talk about Tillman earlier. I think the play action shots will be there. This thing is a ground-based game with Nick Chubb, but I think they get some play action shots to Tillman. I think Tillman has a reasonable floor. I think he has more ceiling than Dowdle. I'd go with Tillman. All right. Good luck to week 9 for everybody. Another super chat question from Tyler. Keon Coleman or Jaden Reed. So Keon Coleman had the big game last week. And again, it's really Cooper, even though Cooper didn't play much last week, just teams game planning for them have to space the field now. It's not like when Cooper wasn't there, you just pack it in and nobody really beats you. It's going to be really hard to predict Coleman week to week. Now, Coleman, sometimes the Dolphins will move Jalen Ramsey into the slot. I don't know how much they're going to do there. They could not. But if Coleman has snaps where he's going to see Jalen Ramsey some, that's going to be a problem for him. I think I'm going to go with Reed here. Reed hasn't done well, but Reed has a floor. And I think with the weather in Green Bay, I think it's going to be short and quick stuff. I think there could be some reverses to Reed. I think quick stuff means him over the middle a bit more. They play a lot of man in Detroit, which means there could be yards after the catch. I'm giving Reed the edge here. Again, Coleman is going to be very week to week, and he's going to be very hard to predict in terms of his usefulness and the offense. And James Cook did go off on Miami. He could be a focal point here. All right, let's go back to the questions that are in the live area here. We're on Mark. Brian Robinson. Do I sit Brian Robinson for Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, or Tyrone Tracy in the flex? Look, Josh Downs has been majorly productive with Joe Flacco, even in a big game last week with Anthony Richardson in there. And Josh Downs is going to be tough to sit. Josh Downs, I don't have him as a great, highly ranked player, but I do have my wide receiver 21. And I think with Minnesota, I do think he has an advantage. If they bring pressure, there could be like extra room after the catch because they're selling out bodies. Brian Robinson's hurt. He has a hamstring. They elevated Chris Rodriguez, which means they're nervous about him. So Brian Robinson could do well. But the fact they elevated somebody means they're nervous, and that means you should be nervous too. Tyrone Tracy has been playing great. It's going to be really hard to sit him. And I do think that run game has been going there. And I know Andrew Thomas left tackle's out, but they've been running it well. So I think Tracy probably has the most stable floor because he's a running back and he's going to get 12 to 15 touches. Concussion's gone, so he's a full go. I think Josh Downs has the best ceiling of this group, and he has a reasonable floor. If you want the safest move, you go Tyrone Tracy. But if you want to mix some real ceiling potential in there, then I think you do take a look at Josh Downs. I would put him over Jaden Reed in this one. Where do I have Jaden Reed ranked, actually? Let me see where I have him. I put Jaden Reed at 17, but I would have a red on him. He's kind of that upside down. I think Josh Downs will have him a few spots lower. I would tend to trust Josh Downs a little bit more in it. Sometimes these lineup rankings are weird because you rank them a certain way, but then when you get to your lineup, you answer it a little bit differently because, you just are matching these players up. All right. Jay Red, Otten, Ertz, or Ferguson. So Tampa Bay is facing a Chiefs defense that's the absolute worst in the league against the tight end. I don't think the Chiefs are going to say we have to take Cade Otten out. I don't think he's that level of player. They don't see these explosive plays coming there, and that's what the defense are about. So I love Ferguson. Ertz gets targets every week, but I think Otten continues to see high target volume. And so you got to roll with the hot hand here. And the fact that Chiefs have been terrible against tight ends, that's my path. All right, Burrow, Stafford, or Murray. So Tyreek Stevenson's not starting for the Bears. Does that mean he misses one play, one series, one quarter? I don't know what that means because of his gaffe last week when he was taunting the crowd. So there's an issue with that. Burrow, I have as a top 5 quarterback this week. Top four. I know Higgins isn't playing, but the Raiders, Hendrickson's great, but the pass rush has not been overall good this year. And I do think this is a game where the screen game gets going. I think that, Chase is going to get his. I think Burrow throws 2 to 3 touchdowns in this game. Murray's risky because the Bears are a very good pass defense. Stafford is risky because we don't know Nakua's true stats. We expect him to play. Divisional battle low. I'm going to give Burrow the edge here. Saints or Bills defense? I'd go with the Saints. The Saints have been terrible. They get their corners back this week. Nicky Ekwonu, the left tackle's out for Carolina. I think that helps. So I would tend to give the Saints the edge here. I got another super chat question before I come to Delroy. So I got Scott in the house. Scott, Dak or Stafford? So I'm going to give Dak I have Dak as a top 5 quarterback this week. I think Atlanta does score easily on Dallas. And I think that we saw the second half of last week, even though it was desperation time, they finally did what they did last year with CeeDee Lamb. They moved him around. They optimized. Oh, look, the guy got 140 yards. Imagine they could have been doing that all year. Well, that formula worked last year. It worked last week. Their season's like up against the ropes. You've got to figure they're going into this game moving CD around and weaponizing like they did last year. So I think Dak's going to be fine. And I don't think there's no pass rushing from them. Judon's nice, but there's no pass rush. And when there's no pass rush, that offensive line of Dallas looks better than it really is. And so I like Dak here. I like Dak as a great play this week. Does Chestnut have a role? So apparently, here's the thing. If Tennessee would have elevated somebody from the practice squad, I would be nervous that they were nervous about Pollard. That said, Pollard gets his 16 to 19 carries. Chestnut gets his 1 to 4 carries, and I think that's about it. If Pollard, like I said, they have to be comfortable because they would have elevated Josh Kelly, although he stinks from the practice squad, if they were worried. They're carrying 2 running backs. That tells me they're good with him. So based on that, the teams told me Pollard has his usual role. Can it be wrong? Yes. But I think the team is telling us that, and I think we go with what the team is telling us. John, I see you put a question, a super chat thing, but there's no question attached to it. And there's probably like 150 questions in the live, so I'm not going to be able to find it. If you attach something somehow to this, I'm happy to answer it and express you in through the line. All right. We're on Delroy. Goff or Winston? Goff, his pass attempts, he got a 15, a 25, a 25, an 18 in the last 4 weeks. Rainy game, Goff on the road, rainy conditions. That's kind of his kryptonite. Winston probably doesn't throw a lot here, but I do think there's some play action here and there's some opportunities here. It's tough to trust Winston, but I think it's tough to trust Goff in this game, especially since he's been living on touchdowns. There's like no passing volume. I'm going to give Winston a 51-49 edge. I probably have Goff ranked higher. I got Goff as my quarterback 9, but I would put a big, see if I had my red and green tags, I'd have a big red tag on him this week. 9 with massive downside because if they run the ball. And so I do think, even though I have Winston marked as my quarterback 18, I think it's a real stable 18. I think it's like, you know what, there's not a floor below that, but I think he can place higher than that if he hits a couple deeper shots. So the rankings are way different here. So Goff, again, you're taking a big risk because he might not throw 17 passes in this game, but I have him high because he's been so efficient. He's getting 2 or 3 touchdowns like last week, 85 yards, but 3 touchdowns. So that's in play, and that's why you rank him high. But I probably would, because of the weather, give Winston the edge. Gesicki, Taysom Hill, Jonnu Smith, or Zach Ertz. So Gesicki's played 3 games when T. Higgins has been out, and he's done really well. Like, that's like he is a tight end, is like the replacement for Higgins, just the way it's worked. So Gesicki's a great play, but Taysom Hill, no Jamal Williams, no Kendre Miller, so he's the running back 2 here. He had 4 targets, 4 rushes, and a pass attempt last week. I think he gets goal line here with Alvin Kamara. I think Gesicki and Hill are both great plays. I think Hill is more likely to score a touchdown. I'd go with Taysom Hill probably. All right, YouTube user. Olave, Nakua, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Reed. This must be a dynasty league because you got a bunch of like early round draft picks there. All right, so I think Olave is getting 10 targets in this one. With Rashid Shaheed out and Carr back. Now because he was losing too many targets to him. So I do think that Olave is going to do great here. Nakua would be an auto play, but if you're at all worried, I'm trying to see if anybody has a late game to go with him. Flowers, Reed. Flowers is like an early game. I can never remember when the early and late games are. Yeah, it's a early. Flowers an early game. Devontae Smith. That's a late game. All right, so that's what I would do. So I would play Olave, and then the other one is if Nakua is inactive, you just pivot Devontae Smith for the later game. He plays in the slot a little bit more. Great matchup for him. Flex, add Stevenson to those players. I would probably put Stevenson. Tennessee's a paper tiger against the run. I think he has no issue. Stevenson's been great this year despite the bad offensive line. So I would go Olave and Stevenson, and then the third one would be what I said earlier. It'd be Nakua for sure, but if he's inactive, then you pivot to Devontae Smith. A lot going on here. Half PPR, White, Mostert, Bigsby, ETN. I think White catches his passes here. Look, KC's lights out against teams, especially on the ground. I think White gets 4 or 5 catches here. I think he's probably the safest play with the half PPR. He's going to catch passes. And that offensive line's been great for Tampa run block. I didn't see it coming, but they've been like a top 10 run blocking line. So I'd go with that. Oh my gosh, we were piling these questions here. Let's see what else we got here. Same players, Reed, Tillman. So I would go with Reed, and again with ETN back, him and Bigsby are going to split work. So I would probably go with Reed over Tillman in this one because I think his floor is going to be more stable in this one. I talked earlier about Tillman. All right, I got another super chat question here, and then I'll come back to Kevin. Super chat, OG Bobby. PPR need a running back and a flex out of these 4. Chargers defense. Chubb, Bucky, Irving, Hopkins, Pittman. You need running back and flex. Look, Nick Chubb had 16 carries, or was it 16? Close to 16 carries last week. I think it was. 60% of the snaps, though. And I think the whole line is back healthy this week. I think they run down the Chargers' throats. I'm going with Chubb here. And then, you know what? I'm going with Pittman as my next option. With Joe Flacco in there, I think he has a strong scoring floor. I think Pittman gets it done for you this week. So I definitely think he's going to get enough catch. I'm with my wide receiver 23. The Minnesota corners don't match up well with him. Mahomes or Darnold. Look, Mahomes is tough to start. I mean, he had the touchdowns last week, but since week 6 last year, he's been like a quarterback 2. Darnold, I'm not worried about Indy. They don't have much of a pass rush. They do get DeForest Buckner back, but I do think otherwise, I think Darnold's going to have very little issue getting the ball to Jefferson, throwing it to Aaron Jones, maybe a little TJ Hawkinson in there. I think Darnold's safer because if the Chiefs have it their way, they're going to run it down their throats, shorten the game. I just think Darnold's safer. All right. Live questions. Again, that super chat, when I see the number comes up, I click over to it right away. It's tiny on my screen, so when I see it, I jump over. Don't always see it, though. All right, Kevin, good morning to you as well. Need three. Mooney, DJ Moore, Wandale Robinson, Bucky, Jacobs, Monty, or Robinson. You need three of those. So first of all, we're going to go with Jacobs for volume. I know Detroit's a great team against the run, but Jacobs has been getting massive volume, and I think you ride the volume. Montgomery the same way. He gets a not the massive volume, but look, on a sloppy field, Green Bay's not good against the run. The Lions' offensive line should dominate them. I'm going to go with those two. And then Brian Robinson, I'm worried about because the team elevated a practice squad running back. So that means they're worried about his hamstring. That means you should be too. So the boom bust for your last place, I mean, DJ Moore, he's less than 30 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. But you got to think that the Bears are able to get him going at some point. I mean, that's a leap of faith, but he does have a 100-yard or 2-touchdown game in the last 4 as well. So he's your boom bust play. Your best floor play among the rest of it is probably Bucky Irving because, but again, Kansas City's great against the run, but he runs, he catches, he's at the goal line, and that offense somehow gets it done. So Moore would be the player I would play the boom bust angle. I'd play Moore. But if you can't stomach the 3 bad games he had, then you go to Bucky Irving. But again, I would just play DJ Moore. Tight end, Henry, Kraft, or Hawkinson. Henry's been great with Drake May, and Drake May got knocked out, but he's back this week. I do think the matchup against that he has this week is a great one. So Hunter Henry, where do I have him in my tight end? I have him as 17 against Tennessee. Tennessee's had good numbers, but again, they haven't played a whole lot of anybody. Kraft gets it done on 3 targets a game, so you're banking on that, but he certainly can, as he's done all year. I think Hawkinson, based on your other 2 options, is one you got to wait and see. We don't know what his snap counts can be. Does he play every snap? Sure. Does he play 20 snaps? Sure. We don't know. And he doesn't have any game snaps with Darnold, so we don't know what that chemistry is. So I'd be inclined to say Kraft is only going to get a few targets, but he's gotten it done every stinking week. So I just think you play Tucker Kraft. I think you play him. He's my tight end 9, and he hasn't proven there's any reason to get him out there despite the lack of targets. The rain wouldn't bother me because, again, I think that as the tight end, even though he's moved around, I think his role is kind of stable. Next one. I got another super chat, so we got to bump the line here. We got Ray Rodriguez. We got full PPR. Reed, Brian Thomas, or Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers had a great floor every week. That's been pretty amazing. Cincinnati is not a bad match, but I expect the Raiders will trail. I think Myers gets a high floor here. Brian Thomas Jr. has been a superstar. I know he's less than 100% for this game. What does that mean? They're playing Philly. Philly's defense has gotten better every week. They've been very good at limiting explosive plays, and that's where Brian Thomas Jr.'s lived. But Vic Fangio's calling card is you don't give up the big play, and I don't know if they're doing that right now. So I think that Myers and Reed are both very good plays. I think Myers has the highest floor. I think his floor is like 5 catches for 60 yards. That's probably his floor in this game, and he could do better than that. Jaden Reed's your boom bust play. If you want to swing for real upside here, again, because they play a lot of man with Detroit, so that means if he gets something underneath and he gets past the first level, you could see a big play or 2 despite the wet field, which is actually to his advantage. So Myers is your floor play. Reed is your boom bust. Brian Thomas, if he was fully healthy, I would move him ahead of everybody despite the matchup. But again, a little bit concerned there. If your gut says Brian Thomas Jr., I get it because he has been money. Superstar, young superstar. All right. See, we're out here. Here we go. Back to the questions here. All right. Downs or Olave. Tough one because the Downs is just getting it done with Joe Flacco. But Olave, look, over his career, when he gets 8 or more targets in a game, he's money for 85 yards almost every game he plays his whole career. I got to think he's getting that with no Rashid Shaheed. Again, first game with Carr and no Shaheed. Olave doesn't have to give up half of his targets to a player. Shaheed's great, was great, but Olave's a superstar. He's getting the ball now. And I think you play Olave here because I think Olave, you bank on his role week after week. But there's nothing wrong with Josh Downs. Josh Downs, I love him. Good morning, Chris. All right, what else we got here? Oh, man, appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. Would I start Murray, Stafford, Flacco, or Cousins? You know, Murray's going to run for some here. Murray, I have him as my quarterback 6. The Bears do worry me, but he runs. And in the 4 to 6 games, the last 6 games, he gets a lot of good rushing going for him here. So I do like him there. Flacco is going to be interesting because the matchup against Minnesota should be fun. He's been showing to get things up, but Minnesota could make it a little tough for him. Cousins, the only worry with Cousins is that they run the ball so successfully on Dallas, they don't have to pass. Remember, Cousins' only 2 big games came against Tampa Bay. So I think Cousins, though, is your boom bust play because against Dallas, if they choose not to run, I think, look, Trevon Diggs, I just saw is going to play. He has a calf injury, and the coach said it was a tear. So, look, if he's not Drake London, good luck. So, I would say Cousins has the most upside here. I think the best floor play in here is Murray. Stafford is a great play, but it's a later afternoon game. And well, so is the Kyler Murray one. And Puka's a full go. It changes the equation a bit. So I would almost say this. I would wait till the late window of games. And Indy's a night game, so you have to wait late window going. If Puka Nacua plays, you probably could take your shot on Stafford. And that would probably be like him and Cup. They're rolling, and those corners they're big outside press corners. They don't really match up with Nacua and Cup real well. So I'd probably go Stafford there. But Murray has real rushing upside, but it's a tough matchup. So, yeah, again, if Puka's healthy, he's active, you play Stafford. Otherwise, Cousins is an early game, so you don't need to deal with it. The pivot would be Murray. And then flex 1 PPR, Tracy, Ingram, or Pollard. That's a tough one. Look, we remember what Ingram did with no Kirk, but Kirk was doing garbage this year. So it's not like it's all these touches are coming into Ingram because last year Kirk was heavily involved and then he went out and Ingram was kind of sucked up both. Well, now there's nothing to suck up. It was the 3 targets a game maybe that Kirk was getting, and Parker Washington might get 1 or 2 of those. I think you go to running back here. I think the running back's the more stable play. Tracy's been great. Washington is attackable on the ground. If Pollard didn't miss all 3 practices, it'd be hard to avoid him here because, look, Pollard is playing a New England defense that has not stopped the run at all. Pollard, if healthy, is an elite play, but because of the toe, and we don't know if it's so start Tracy. But if you are not worried about Pollard's toe injury because the team didn't bring up a practice squad running back, then I would go with Pollard because Pollard has an elite matchup here. But there is concern with the toe injury. I got more super chat questions before I come back to Kevin. All right, next one. Brian Thomas or Dowdle. You heard me talk about Brian Thomas earlier, and look, the Vic Fangio defense has done really well. That Philly defense is not the same defense we saw in the first 5 weeks of the season. But Rico Dowdle is, I'm sorry, terrible. And Atlanta's decent enough. Atlanta's not a pushover on the ground. They're average, and average isn't bad. And I think Dallas is going to trail, and they got to win this one through the air. And I'm not even convinced that on passing downs that we don't see more Dalvin Cook in the passing down role. So despite the injury in the matchup, I'm giving Brian Thomas the edge here. Very hard to sign off on Dowdle. He'd need a touchdown to cash, and that's tough to expect to come. Joseph, Jordan Love or Jameis Winston? So the field conditions are a problem for Jordan Love. The groin injury and the wet field, and that could be a setback. That could be keeping him in the pocket. So Love is your boom bust play. He could get a lot going here. But Jameis Winston probably is a safer floor because if Jordan Love aggravates that thing and he comes out, you could be hurting because they have a bye next week. So if he gets hurt at all, they're going to think what's better for the rest of the season. So Love's your boom bust play. But if you just want to be safe and take some layup points, Winston should get enough done. He should get a touchdown. He should get close to 200 yards in this one. Offensive line's healthy. They're going to do play action off of Chubb. So you kind of got that going for you there. All right. Let's go back to the live questions and see where we were at. And I always hate how this dumps me backwards on it where I can't find where I was at. All right, let's figure this out here. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. So, all right, let's see. Let's see if I answered Kevin's here. All right, long one here. Did I answer? It looks like I answered. No, maybe I didn't answer something. All right, let's see. Mooney, Pierce, Judy, Dobbins, or Monty. Look, can't sit Monty. Cannot sit him. And Green Bay's not a good run defense. Also, based on the options you have, remember, Mooney's had his 2 big games against Tampa. The other games have been decent, but not great. So I'm going to Dobbins has gotten less efficient every week, and it's not a good matchup, but he's getting volume. So I'm going to give Dobbins a play here for volume. And then your third one, it's going to be between Moody and Judy. But I think that you're going with Mooney here because I think that's a high-scoring game. I think that Brian Robinson is inactive, everybody. Brian Robinson is inactive. So I added Jeremy McNichols in a couple leagues, and I know Chris Rodriguez was brought up from the practice squad, but everybody, Brian Robinson, he is out. So right now, I think that it's a split between Jeremy McNichols and Austin Eckler. I think Jeremy McNichols kind of steps into Brian Robinson's role. I think it's an excellent matchup against a Giants defense that's been sliding against the run for the last 4 weeks. I think Jeremy McNichols can get you 60 yards. I think he has a 40% chance of scoring a touchdown here. So I do think he is somebody you take a look at here. Definitely going to look at him as a possibility. And what else do we have to do here? Let me take one quick look. And I have to check one more. So yeah, with him inactive, this is really Austin Eckler should be okay in terms of catches, but I don't think he has a high volume in this game. So for whatever that's worth, we look at that. All right, let me just do one more thing here, and I'm trying to get started here. Jeremy McNichols. I'm looking up Jeremy McNichols here to see what he's done. And all right, let me see if I can. So Jeremy McNichols, again, I think, again, about 60 yards is on the table for him, and I think you definitely are looking at that. And let me see if I get to another question here in a second. I'm trying to do something with a league here right now real quick, so be patient with me just for a moment here, and we will get this rolling here. I just have to add one thing. All right. So, and I do want to point out again, he had questions on the Jordan Love thing, and I still want to talk about the weather. I'm bringing this up for those that came in late. Dennis Michelson, my meteorologist friend of 30 years, I think he is somebody that you definitely want to follow. But I think in terms of the weather, we are going to see wind in that Dallas game, and I think it's going to be a real problem. And we're going to see some rain. And I think that's something you need to consider. Sorry, let's get back to some questions here. I'm sorry, I had to add a player. I was trying to do that while we were going here. I had to add McNichols to an important league I'm in. Add McNichols, though, if you need a running back, please add him. All right, so back to Kevin, and I have a super chat question then after that. So, all right, so we went with Dobbins, Monty, and we're going to go with Mooney as your third one there. And then you can have one of the running backs starting Henry and Mixon. Only have one of the running backs. I don't understand the rest of the question, Kevin. I'm sorry. I like Ferguson this week if it helps, and it looks like your other running backs are covered. All right, John. All right, McMillan. Wait, go Tucker, Raheem Jarrett, or play Bateman. I like Trey. I assume you mean Sean Tucker because we're looking at. I'm not sorry, Trey Tucker. We're talking receivers. I do like Trey Tucker this week. They're playing Cincinnati now. Tucker hasn't been great, but Trey Tucker, it's been a receiving option that you can get downfield. And Trey Hendricks is a great pass rusher, but the overall passer for Cincinnati has not been good. I think Gardner Minshew can connect them. I think they're going to trail in this game. I think they have to throw. Jalen McMillan, it's not a good matchup for him. We saw last week as the number one guy on the outside. I don't know that he's ready to handle number one coverage. I thought if he was like a number 3, you liked him, but not as a number 1, a number 2 maybe. So I think I'm going to go with Trey Tucker here. That's the way. Jarrett, he got some late targets last week. Bateman, again, I think that those Denver corners on the outside, I don't think I mess with Bateman against them. All right, back to the questions on the live. Let's see if it bounced me around here. Delroy, Cooper, or Wan'Dale Robinson. So Wan'Dale Robinson has at least 8 PPR points in every game, but he hasn't had much of a ceiling. And now Darius Slayton's become a bigger part of the offense. I'm going to give Cooper the run. And I know Cooper did nothing last week, and I know he's got the wrist injury. I just think that if he's out there, he's going to start getting more targets. He's going to start getting more snaps. Every week he should get integrated. Injury notwithstanding, if you're worried about the injury, play Wan'Dale. I get it. But I think you got to go Amari Cooper here because he should become more integrated, and Wan'Dale just doesn't have enough ceiling. Ferguson or Kincaid? That's a close one. I got him back-to-back in my rankings. I do think it's a shootout, though, with the Dallas game. And I think they're going to have to throw, and Ferguson is the second option in the offense. I'm giving Jake Ferguson the edge here. Amari Cooper is inactive, everybody. He is inactive. So now those questions with Amari Cooper, not a big difference. So Adam Schefter just bringing up Amari Cooper inactive. Very, very big deal here. Let me just check any other injuries here that we have. These inactives will be flowing in here. Let me see what else we have here. Isaiah Pacheco's eyeing a late November return. We see this. Again, everybody, and Marshawn Lattimore's on the trade block. Tracy Wolfson of CBS reporting Audric Estime is going to be more involved in Week 9 against the Ravens. That's not good news for Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Not sure how that shakes out. All right. The Cardinals downgraded cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting with a neck to questionable, which he was a full participant, which means he had a setback. That helps DJ Moore. Not that Sean Murphy-Bunting's a world stopper, but Gabe Davis is a long shot, as I said, to play. We kind of knew that. All right. And all right, but Amari Cooper's inactive, so get him out of your lineup. And Brian Robinson is going to be inactive, so expect that as well. All right, back to Delroy. I'm giving Ferguson the edge. Dallas should have to throw a lot more in this one. And remember now, with Cooper out, defense go back into kind of packing things in. Now, Shakir's still fine because Shakir did well against his Miami defense in week 2. I think he was like 5 for 50, but I don't know how much, they're going to run a lot on Miami here. Might have a super chat here before I get to Chris. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, we got a super chat here. All right, Keon Coleman, Eckler, or Jackson Smith and Jigba. So Keon Coleman does not benefit from Amari Cooper being out. Again, as I said earlier, when Cooper's on the field, teams got to respect the entire field. We're gonna see what Buffalo saw. Lots of your teams are going to be able to pack it in on them. They'll make that adjustment pregame in Miami. They definitely will do that. So Coleman's really boom or bust. Eckler is probably going to continue to see his receiving role. You might see a couple extra carries, but I do think that McNichols kind of handles that role for Brian Robinson. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's going to see his targets. He's going to see his 7 or so targets. He's going to have a very good floor here. I think Smith and Jigba is your best floor play. He probably gets you about 11 PPR points, and you're good with that. If you got to go boom bust and you need a big game, you take your shot on Coleman, but Coleman could come up with a 2 for 13 here. So I would start Smith and Jigba for the safety of it. And the Rams, I don't see them just defending the slot extremely well. And I do think with the pass rush, they're going to be able to get. Verse has been doing decently. So I think those quick outs to Smith and Jigba are going to be there. All right, let's see where we're at question-wise. All right. I think we're back to Chris. Rashad White and Otten in your lineup. You need a wide receiver 3. McMillan. All right, White and Otten in your lineup. You need McMillan, Odunze, Pierce, Coker, Johnston, or Deontay Johnson. Man, it's always tough with Odunze because they try to get him the ball a little bit, but the connection has not been regular there. Alec Pierce, I know he had one deep shot with Flacco, but that's really sticking it out there. And then Coker, the cornerbacks are healthy for Adebo is out, but they've got Alante Taylor and they've got Marshawn Lattimore. So Coker, that worries me. Quentin Johnston against Cleveland. That's a tough matchup. Denzel Ward's healthy. Deontay Johnson probably not getting a lot of love here. I don't see any of these players as standing out to me. McMillan, bad matchup, but he should get 6 targets. And that's probably a tiny bit more than the rest get. So I don't see one that stands out around the others. Got another super chat question. All right, we got Thomas. Darnold or Murray, 6 points. Yeah, that changes a little bit. I think Darnold's probably a little safer in that one. I do think he gets Indy. I think Justin Jefferson has a big game here, and that helps. Murray with that 6 point touchdown, and that minimizes it a little bit for him. And the Bears are a tougher matchup. I do think in that your scoring system, I think Darnold is safer. I think Murray could run. And that gives him gives him a bigger boom bust with the upside. You have the safest play. It's Darnold. I would go with Darnold and call it a day. But if you need to swing for a big game, I don't think Darnold goes off here. And so if you need a big game out of your quarterback, you could roll the dice on Murray because that's in his range because he could run for 70 yards and find the end zone on the ground, and that would make a big difference. Running back in the flex, Dobbins, Chubb, or Shakir. DJ Moore, yeah. Look, personally, and everybody knows I'm slanted to Nick Chubb, so I'm a bias. But all 5 linemen are healthy. I called it 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago when the Chargers played Arizona. I said James Conner will run it down their throats. He did. Chubb's in the same boat. Chubb had 60% of snaps. He had like 14 to 16 carries. Can't remember how many it was, but this is a matchup where Dobbins should be able to do. Chubb. Chubb should do extremely well. I'm playing Chubb here. Moore is a boom bust. Moore could go off. He had 100-yard games 3 weeks ago, but he has 3 games at less than 30 yards in the last 4. So there's that. Moore is your boom bust play. But I think Chubb is a really good floor in him. I think he finds the end zone. I think he gets you 75 yards. Shakir's a nice play too. You almost can't. Oh, you need 2. So Chubb and Shakir are your safe plays. Dobbins is close for volume. Dobbins is very close, but Cleveland's been great against the run. With Amari Cooper out, I answered somebody's question for somebody earlier, but I thought Amari Cooper was playing. So you're going Chubb and Shakir for floor. But if you want to go boom bust, then I would take out Shakir and I would put in DJ Moore. And that ceiling is possibly there in this game. All right, one more super chat. Tyler. Coleman or Reed? So with Amari being out, Miami's going to play them differently. And it's back to seeing the field packed. I think they both are boom bust, but I think Reed is a higher floor. With the rain, I think that means more short stuff to Reed. I don't think you're going to throw those downfield deep shots. So I think that gives more opportunity to Reed. And I think with man coverage from the Lions, I think he could get behind the defense if he breaks the first level. So I'm going to give Reed the edge here. All right. All right, back to the lives. All right, Chris. Good morning to you as well. Half PPR, pick 2 of the 3. McLaurin, Tracy, or Harrison. I'm going with McLaurin and Tracy. The Bears did not shadow McLaurin last week with Jalen Johnson. That was a massive mistake they made. They're terribly coached. I have to think they fix that this week. I think they have to think Harrison's the guy that can beat him. They've put Jalen Johnson on people in the past. I think they do that. Harrison, last time he had a good game, he disappointed for 3 weeks after. I know they used him on more crossers last week, which was great. I was happy to see it. McLaurin and Tracy are way safer. I'll go with them. Jeff. Need 2 of these, flex and a wide receiver. Eckler, Irving, Wilson, Taysom Hill, Brian Thomas Jr. Given this group of players, I don't like Brian Thomas Jr.'s matchup, but he's a star, and I'm going to give the star the edge here. I'm going on a limb here. There's no Kendre Miller. There's no Jamal Williams. I think Taysom Hill sees significant rush. He had 4 rushes, 4 targets, and a pass attempt last week. I think he's going to be around the goal line. I think he's going to be an integral part of the offense with Alvin Kamara. I'm giving Taysom Hill the edge here. If you can't stomach it, it's a wide receiver tight end spot. So, yeah, that's what we're going to – yeah, so we'll go with that. Yeah, we'll just go with that then. For the flex, if you can't stomach putting Taysom Hill in, Bucky Irving should have a decent floor, but it's a bad matchup for him. DJ Chark is inactive against the Browns. We said earlier, Brian Robinson is inactive. So, again, Jeremy McNichols may be on your waiver wire. I think that he sees the majority of carries. Eckler sees more targets. Eckler sees some carries. We said earlier, Amari Cooper is inactive. We also said Isaiah Pacheco targeting a late November return. So that may mean another 3 to 4 weeks out. So a little longer than people may have expected. Here, another one from Rappaport. I got to check this for you guys and gals out there. We knew Zeke Elliott's out. T. Higgins is definitely out, not doubtful anymore. Jermaine Burton is out. I want everybody to know if you need a flex play, in the 3 games that T. Higgins has missed, Mike Gesicki's done well. Gesicki, I know he's a tight end, but he is more of a big body slot receiver. And we saw it again last week, 7 for 70 something. So if you're desperate for a flex play or a tight end play, we have seen that Gesicki has done well when Higgins is out. So understand that. And Tony Pollard is playing as expected, because the thing that tipped us off, they didn't bring up somebody from the practice squad. There is concern with the toe injury, but the fact they didn't elevate anybody, I don't think there's a ton of nervousness there. All right, let's continue to roll here. I think I got all super chat question. Yeah, I got super chat caught up. So look back to the live here. This just bounced me down. Here you go. Starting Bijan, do I start Algier, Taysom Hill? Oh man, and I just mentioned Gesicki, and I love him this week. I think Taysom Hill is going to be, in my mind, with 2 running backs out, Hill has to get 10 touches here, and we know they'll use him at the goal line. Gesicki's close, Algier is close. This is super close. I just think Taysom Hill is going to be involved because of the 2 running backs being out. And the bad defense he's playing. And I should have said to the last person, they're playing Carolina. I'm giving Taysom Hill the edge, and I love Gesicki this week. Rodney, Downs or Mooney? So remember, Mooney had his 2 massive games against Tampa Bay. The other games, he does well. I think we give Josh Downs the edge here. Josh Downs, we know he's a favorite of Joe Flacco. He's been very productive with him. I just think Mooney, against teams that are not called the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's good but not great, whereas Downs has shown he could be great. We're going to go Downs. Jeff, Chubb, Brown, or Pollard? Can't go wrong there. That's a triple coin flip. Obviously, you're asking me that question. Um, if Pollard was 100%, I would take Pollard. He's not 100%. He's a fantastic matchup. Brown has a great matchup. I think everybody's overestimating his touches. I think he gets a couple extra touches, but I don't think they want to overwork him here. I'm always partial to Nick Chubb. Again, I think he's going to run the ball down the Chargers' throats here. Um, I'm going to go with Chubb here. I'm going with Chubb. And again, I'm biased to Nick Chubb. So full disclosure, he's playing. He's on the field like 61% of the time last week. I think he's a full go and his line's healthy. Robinson or Hockenson? That's a tough one. We really don't know what Hawkinson's roles. We know how many snaps he's seeing. We know he hasn't played a snap with Sam Darnold. Robinson has gotten at least 8 PPR points in every game he's played all season. That's a good floor. So because of that, just give me one more week of Wandale. Let me see what Hockenson does, and then we'll go from there. Jennifer, what do you got here? You got Harrison or Kareem Hunt or Sutton. So I told earlier that, I think the Bears could be smart this week, which they often aren't, and put Jalen Johnson on Harrison. And the inconsistent way they've used Harrison's been tough. Kareem Hunt, he has to get a touchdown to bank, because you've seen every week the touches are high, but the yardage keeps going down, 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 down. I don't remember his broken tackle rate. I think it's like less than 15th percentile. Yards after contact, it's about the same, but he's getting such extreme volume. And if he gets the end zone, he cashes. Tampa Bay's a little better against the run than the pass. Might not be and they lost Jared Wiley, their third tight end, which means, and I know they're going to elevate Peyton Hendershot from the practice squad. I think they may not be able to run maybe 3 tight end sets as usual, so they might not be able to bludgeon Tampa Bay like they've done other teams. Sutton is boom or bust. I like the matchup, but I think Baltimore could throw enough confusing looks to Bo Nix that he might not be able to get it downfield, and so that worries me. That said, I'm giving Harrison the edge here, even though the Bears could put Jalen Johnson on him. I think he's the most stable option of those 3. I got to answer these faster, too. We got an hour and 8 to go, and I'm sure there's a ton of questions here. Ethan, Dowdle, Bigsby, McMillan, Parker, Washington, or Coker. Bigsby's playing, ETN's playing. I don't know what the split's going to be. Philly is very, very good against the run. Dowdle is playing a middling run defense, but that's bad for him. He needs to face a cupcake. McMillan, again, if he was a number 2 or 3, great. As a number 1, I just think he's going to struggle. Parker, Washington, problem is Christian Kirk did nothing. And if Christian Kirk did nothing, now am I expecting Parker, Washington to do something? And the answer is probably no. Coker, the problem with him is now he's got a matchup. Lattimore's healthy. Alante Taylor's healthy. And Coker, with no Deontay Johnson traded away, now he's like the number 2, and he could get number 2 treatment. And he's got Bryce Young, and he got garbage time points last week. Understand that was like the defense gave up, and he got his points late. I'm going Bigsby. Here. They're all bad options. I'm going Bigsby. He has the best chance of scoring a touchdown to that group. JSN or Shakir. It's tough. Shakir's like 5 for 50 against Miami the first time. He could do that again. Cater Kohu, the slot corner's out. Smith and Jigba probably gets a couple extra targets. So there's that. Shakir's more likely to score a touchdown. I think the floor of Smith and Jigba might be a little safer here with no DK Metcalf. I'm going to go 51-49% Smith and Jigba. Trust your gut. Max, always appreciate the positive activity that comes from you, man. Standard scoring quarterbacks, so Geno or Winston. Yeah, Geno with no Metcalf. I talk about this, man. There's no Metcalf. Defense is just playing so differently. Just kind of pack it in and say nobody's beating us deep here. And then that really makes it tough for Geno. It makes it tough for Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was 9 for 12 last week on the ground. I know Winston probably doesn't throw a ton, but if Chubb gets going, there's a play action. I'm giving Winston the edge here this week. Geno, remember, Geno throws like 1 touchdown a game. His big yardage game came in blowout losses. Like he piled it all up late. I don't think the Rams are going to blow anybody. I think the divisional game is close. I'm giving Winston the edge. You got Lamb. You need Harrison, Tillman, Downs, Thomas Jr., or DJ Moore. So I am definitely putting Downs in this group. Downs with Flacco, and that Minnesota matchup doesn't scare me at all. You heard me talk about Harrison. I'm a little worried the Bears get smart this week about Jalen Johnson. They've done it before. They didn't do it last week with McLaurin. Dumb Bears. They are just I live in Chicago. They're a dumb organization. They've almost always been. I just don't figure out. Hire some sharp football people, please. Anyway, I'll get off my rant here. Thomas Jr. and Moore, I think, are ahead of Tillman. Tillman will get some play action shots, and that could be helpful, but I think there's more of a low scoring running game. Thomas Jr., I think, despite the chest injury, probably has a better floor than Moore, who has less than 30 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. But I'd lean DJ Moore here. They've got to get. He has a 100-yard game 3 weeks. They got to get him going. This matchup is not bad. The Bears coming off that horrible coaching performance. They got to figure it out this week. I'm giving DJ Moore the edge here. If your gut says Thomas Jr., go with him, and I understand it. But I'm going to go with Downs along with them. Got a super chat before I come back to Steven. Got Fabian in here. Jeremy McNichols over Roshan. Yes, definitely all day long. Roshan Johnson's, I think he's getting 3 to 5 touches a game. And it's, yeah, and then because really Swift has just become the guy. So, yeah, McNichols, I'd be stunned if he didn't get you 10 touches here. He has a decent chance to score. I think he gets close to 60 yards here. JSN, Hopkins, or Waddle. All right, so here's how I'm going to handle this, Fabian. I think your best floor play of that group is JSN. He's going to get his 7 to 9 targets. He's going to catch 5 to 7 passes, get you 50 to 60 yards. Great floor play. I think your boom bust play is Waddle here. Waddle had 100 yards in week 1. I know it's a long time, but he had like 2 healthy games. Well, 1 healthy game with Tua, and then he had a 4 for 40 in the game that Tua got knocked out against the Bills. So he did something there. And then last week, we know he didn't do great, but again, it was Tua's first game back. So JSN is the best floor. But Waddle, I would play because I think the floor isn't bad, but I do think they could get him going after the catch. And Buffalo does have their number, but it's going to be more to Tyreek Hill. They're going to really look to limit him. So I think I would lean Waddle here. I wouldn't put Hopkins ahead of either. Chargers, Patriots, or Titans defense. Yeah, these defenses are tough. I'd probably go with the Titans here. No, I'm going to go with the Patriots. They're missing a lot of people, but Mason Rudolph's the quarterback. Ultimately, I think he makes a mistake. So I'd go with that. Thanks for the super chat on that one. Let's see if I have any other super chat, actually. No, I got Fabian, so we're good there. Back to the live. All right, and then we're going to go to Steven. Good morning, Steven. You have ETNB looks to play, and you have Bigsby and Madison. Philly is very good against the run. They traded away their left tackle, Cam Robinson, who was a good run blocker. Not elite, but very good. They're going to have a downgrade there. Madison's terrible, but he's got a matchup since he is not good against run, since he won't dedicate bodies to stop him, I don't think. And I think there's no way they're going to say, we got to stop Alexander Madison. So I think Alexander Madison gets more volume. He has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than either of the Jacksonville backs. It is the craziest call, but because Bigsby and Etienne probably split the backfield, Madison probably gets well more touches, and he probably gets 4 targets. I'm giving Madison the edge, Steven. Trust your gut. If you got somebody else, I get it's disgusting to start Madison, but yeah, I think he can get something done for you this week. Rahindra, good morning to you as well. Full PPR. Pittman or Brian Robinson? So Robinson's inactive, as you obviously put your question in early, so now you already know that, so your question's done. Let me check if there's any other injury news here, guys and gals. All right. Spencer Rattler is inactive, which is fine because Derek Carr is playing. Jamal Williams is expected is not playing, so I do think with him and Kendra Miller on the IR, I do think Taysom Hill is heavily involved. Oh, you know what? Oh, my gosh. I answered some questions about Carolina. Marshawn Latimer's inactive. I think they may be looking to trade him. Kool-Aid McKinstry's out. The person asked about Coker earlier. I think Coker has some legs right now. I think Coker might have some legs here. Move Coker up the rankings a little bit, I think. I expected Marshawn Lattimore to play, unless I was wrong about that one. Maybe I was right about that one. It was a hamstring injury, so maybe I screwed that up. So I do feel a little more favorable on Coker this week. And actually, I feel a little more favorable on Xavier Legette playing with a little bit of toe injury. But yeah, I think they could do a little damage here because the Saints are going to score some points. Falcons, Troy Anderson, their linebacker, still inactive. It helps the Dallas offense in third game in a row. He'll miss. Let's see. Zach Moss, we knew, is inactive. Again, I think that means a few more touches for Chase Brown, but I think that even though he's not good, I think Travion Williams probably gets about 5 touches in this game just to keep the Chase Brown healthy and active, but I wouldn't put much stock in that. Nothing special for the Giants. Deontay Foreman inactive for the Browns, nothing there because they got Jerome Ford back from injury, I believe. Curtis Samuel is active. That shouldn't move the radar. All right. Nothing. Like I said earlier, Cater Kohu, the slot corner for Miami, we knew he was out. Javon Holland is out. That does give, those are two middle of the field pass defenders. That does give Khalil Shakir a little bit more of a boost. And also Zach Sealer, defensive tackles out. I think James Cook's going to have himself quite a game here. Marlon Humphrey is active for the Ravens. That does help them because they're going to get pressure on Bo Nix this week, which can make his decision making into question. All right, I think we're kind of caught up on injuries right now. All right, let's see what we got here. PPR bench, half PPR, Devontae Smith or Harrison Jr. So Devontae Smith plays a lot more slot when we have A.J. Brown on the field, which helps. Marvin Harrison Jr., again, I don't know if the Bears are going to be smart and get Jalen Johnson on him. I think Smith is a safer floor. I don't know that Harrison has a big ceiling against the Bears. I would lean Devontae Smith on that one. B. Ali, Love, or Stafford. I think Love has potential for big upside, but the rain on the field and the groin injury and the potential for setback, and then maybe they keep him in the pocket more. I think Love's your boom bust. I think if you just want to be a safe call on this one, then you might look at Stafford. And here's what I'll also tell you. These are both late game plays. So if Puka Nacua is inactive, just play Love no matter what. But otherwise, Stafford's your floor play. But if you want to go boom bust, I think Love has real ceiling here, but there is real potential for that groin being an issue on a wet field. Steve, morning to you as well. The 2 or 3. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hawk, ETN, and Puka. All right, so I got to put the times of these games up here again because Hawkins is in a night game. So here's how I would frame it. You got ETN playing a late game as well. That helps. All right. So here's how we'll say Puka's active. You start him. You don't think twice about it. And then that puts you down to one of the other two. I would be inclined to play ETN over Hawkinson because I don't know what Hawkinson's role is going to be. I don't know how many snaps he's going to play. He hasn't played a game with his quarterback yet. That worries me a little bit. ETN should see enough in the receiving game to get you something for fantasy. Obviously, if Puka's inactive, then you play the other two. That's the way I would frame that one. B. Ali, I got to go Waddle here. Waddle is getting enough of a floor. Addison's floor has been horrible. And now Hawkinson comes in. What if he takes a couple targets from him? Addison just hasn't, and I know he had some touchdowns earlier, but it's just not seeing enough volume. At least Waddle's on the field and he's involved. And again, he's had decent floor with Tua. I'll go with him probably easily. Happy Sunday, Vol Maniac. Yeah, thanks for hitting the like and subscribe button. Always appreciate it. I got a couple of super chat questions after this. I'm going to grab it right away. Flacco or Kyler? I got Kyler ranked fairly significantly higher. I got Kyler up at quarterback 6, but I do have Flacco at quarterback 12, so he's definitely an option here. I think Kyler runs for enough here. I do think that Minnesota's defense could give Flacco a little bit of trouble. I still like Josh Downs. I think Kyler's floor is safer because Flacco could have an implosion. I don't think Flacco goes off here. He could. I think Kyler's floor is safer. I think Flacco's more boom bust. There could be a low floor. He could have a struggle here. But if you want to swing for defense, Flacco may come up with that crazy game. I think Kyler's safer. Tillman and Moore, I think that's a low. At the Tillman game, there's more running than we expect. Tillman get a couple play action shots. I don't think he sees the high target volume. I know Moore's been terrible. Tillman's been better, especially the last 2 weeks. He's crushed them. I'm giving Moore the edge because I think the Bears got to get him on track. And I think, again, there may not be as many pass attempts this week for the Browns because I think Nick Chubb is involved as a runner here. Tracy or Coleman, look, especially with Amari Cooper out, I think we got to go with Tracy. I think that Cooper not on the field, defense will play him locked up. They pack it down. Nobody scares them. So Cooper just changed the way teams played in the last 2 weeks. I can go with Tracy there. Oh, did I get the super chats? I might not have got the super chats. Hang on. I might not have got the super chats here. Joshua, we're going with Tracy. Again, I think the advantage with Robinson out goes to Jeremy McNichols. Eckler might get a couple extra carries, but I think they trust McNichols in an early down roll. So I'm gonna roll with that. And Eckler's going to see some volume in the receiving game, but Tracy's a full-time back for them. And the matchup's not scary. And he's playing great. And the concussion's cleared. So it's not like an injury. He's coming back from like a leg injury. So I'm going to go with that. And then next one. Javante or Liget. So we just heard the report that Estime is going to see a little more work. Baltimore is really good at stopping the run without committing bodies to it. Javante typically gets some targets. I think Javante has a safer floor, though. I think Javante is going to get you, 7 PPR points, and there's something to that. Liget, we got the corners down. We got Lattimore down, and we got Kool-Aid McKinstry down, and I know Adebo is on the IR, and I think they're going to chase points. I think Liget has a bigger ceiling than Javante here. So, and I think he should get enough target. Like his quarterback's awful. I'm not going to downplay that for a second. Bryce Young is terrible, not an NFL quarterback. But I think Liget's got to get 7 targets here. I would give Liget a 51-49 edge over Javante. But if you want to be super, super safe, you go with Javante because he's going to get you something. Whereas Liget has Bryce Young, and maybe that turns into a big nothing. But I think with all the cornerbacks out, I do think that Liget has a chance to do something well here. I might have another super chat here. Anthony, morning to you as well. McConkey, Connor, Chubb, Ridley, Worthy, or Watson. All right, so look, Connor, the Bears are not good against the run. And power running, they're not good against. And we've seen the Cardinals will load up 2 tight end sets. They'll put in 3 tight ends, and they'll run. They figure it out with Connor most weeks. Connor has a great floor. I'm going with Connor. McConkey's close, but I'm going with Nick Chubb. Again, all 5 linemen are healthy for the first time all year. The Chargers' numbers would be great, but I called it when Connor played them. Connor ran it down their throats. I expect Chubb to run it down their throats this game. Chubb was up to 60% of the snaps last week. Second week back. To me, he's a full back now. He's going to play 70% probably today. So I'm going to go with Connor and Chubb and call it a day. All right, let's get back to the live questions. All right. I think Vol Maniac, did I get you already? And I answered you there. So we're on B. Alley. I got you, big fella, I'm on. Morning to you as well. Start with a flex one. Pollard, Tracy, Dobbins, or McConkey. All right. This is a dicier range. I've told people to worry about Pollard. They didn't activate a practice squad running back, so they got to think Pollard's good. Now, Pollard is an easy matchup. In this group, Pollard plays and Tracy plays because the concussion's clear and the matchups are great. Dobbins' efficiency's gone down every week. Cleveland's good against the run. McConkey's going to face those 3 corners. He's done well, but I just think this is a tough matchup for him. Give me the running backs there, the first 2, Pollard and Tracy. Andrew, standard scoring. Brian Robinson's out, as you know, because you asked this question before that happened. So Rashad White's your call. Wandale or Jalen McMillan. Wandale has at least 8 PPR points in every game this season, and Jalen McMillan is going to face a very, 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 very difficult Kansas City pass defense. I'm going with Wandale on that one. Impossible. All right, you've got a receiver, a running back, CD3. Flowers, Pittman, Smith and Jigba, Tillman, Cook, Brown, Eckler, Hubbard, Tracy. Wow. All right, Cook crushed Miami the first time, and Miami is down Zach Sealer. Cook's in. Hubbard's facing a New Orleans team that can't tackle. They haven't been able to tackle, and they've been giving up oodles of yardage. I got to play Hubbard. It's between Tracy and Chase Brown. Both are great plays. I'm giving Chase Brown the edge here because I think the Raiders got to play 2 high shells, and Brown has been very good at getting to the second level. I think he scores a touchdown here. If you're nervous about Hubbard, you could pivot in Tracy. You're playing the running back. Oh, you need a receiver in that group. So it's going to be Cook. It's going to be Cook and Hubbard. If you don't like Hubbard, you put Chase Brown in. That's close. That's close on Chase Brown and Hubbard, though. But I think New Orleans is so bad, we put Hubbard ahead of Brown. But Brown, if you don't trust him, play Brown. And then you got to go with one other one. All right, for that one, don't necessarily like Flowers' matchup. He's been crushing, though. But I think he may be the best play of this group. I think Flowers should have a similar floor. I don't like those corners, though, in Denver. I don't like them up against them. Pittman and JSN are floor plays. I think JSN has the best floor of the group. I'm going to go with JSN for the best floor. You want to go boom bust, give Pittman a whirl. I think he sees more targets than Tillman. It's a good question. Henry, Drake May or Kyler Murray? Yeah, Drake May's back from the concussion. I think that game against New England and Tennessee is lower scoring. I think it's lower scoring. I don't know. I think there's a lot of running in this game. I think it's going to shorten the game up. And I don't think New England trails. So that means that's bad for me. May needs them to trail. I'm going to give Kyler Murray the edge pretty easily here. I think he runs against the Bears. Bad matchup, but I think he runs. And I think he gets enough done. I'm going to Kyler Murray. Delroy, Kraft, Otten, or Ferguson. Otten and Ferguson get more targets, but a Kraft is living on like 3 targets a game. And he gets it done every week. The wet field, the wind conditions, the injury, the groin of Love. I'm going to go with Otten against the worst defense in the league against tight ends, the Chiefs. And I'm going to go with Ferguson, and it should be a shootout. I'm going to give it with, and it's hard to sit Kraft because he's been a wonderful player. John, can't decide Otten or McBride. Yeah, you know what? And I think I answered this for someone last week, and I told them McBride, and they both went off. Look, the Bears aren't great against tight ends, and they're down their strong safety again. And ultimately, if a defense like Kansas City, who doesn't stop the play, if they decide they want to take him away, it wouldn't take much to do that. Otten's a good player. I'm going with the superstar. Give me the superstar here. If Otten gets his 2 touchdowns again, God bless him. McBride should get at least 50 yards in this game. I love McBride this week. The Bears do not do great against good tight ends. I'm giving McBride the edge. If your gut says Otten, look, the dude's on fire. 10 targets each of the last 2 games, and the defense's matchup is easy. If your gut says Otten, completely get it. But I'm not. McBride has given me no reason to bench him because every week he gets it done. And the matchup's not scary. Andrew, Burrow or Jaden Daniels? I can't sit Jaden Daniels. I got Burrow. You see him. I got Jaden Daniels. Why is he listed my number 1 quarterback? He's not. Lamar Jackson. Somehow my number 1 got cut off there. Lamar Jackson's everybody looking out there. Lamar Jackson, my number 1 quarterback every week, no matter what. So I don't know what I did on my sheet, so I apologize for that. Jaden Daniels, number 2. But that said, I got Burrow high. But Jaden Daniels' floor is so much higher. Jaden Daniels doesn't need things to work his way. He'll either run or he'll pass. He gets it done. Unless I got Lamar Jackson, I'm not sitting Jaden Daniels. And hey, if I had Josh Allen, it's close because Josh Allen's had a lot of bad games. Jaden Daniels. Again, number 1 quarterback's wrong. It's Lamar Jackson, but that's it. I think everybody knows that, hopefully. But I'm sorry about the mistake. Copied and pasted. I must have cut it off. Poor Lamar. He doesn't need my support. He's Superman. All right. You need Dak, Tua, Lawrence, or Carr. You know what? This is a Dak week. No pass rush from Atlanta. It should be a shootout. They finally started putting CD in a weaponized role. They did all second half of it last year. Finally did it. So we got that. So I'm going with Dak. I think Dak goes off in this game. Derek Carr could, but do I want to take that chance? Maybe not. All right. I got a super chat question before I get the Shooks in here. Got Fabian in the house. He's here. Fabian here. Fabian, what do you got here? You got Kirk Cousins or Mahomes. Again, I think that's a shootout, that Dallas Atlanta game. And the one concern is that Atlanta has so much success running the ball that they don't have to throw as much as they'd like. But that's the same thing for Mahomes. Mahomes, they want to run the ball. They want to control the game. They want their defense to win it. Mahomes had the 2 touchdowns last week. But I think Cousins is a higher floor than Mahomes because I think worst case scenario, it's 230, 240. It's 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to go with Cousins there. Kincaid, Taysom, or Gesicki. Wow. Kincaid has not performed at the levels we want. He's a decent floor play. You heard me say earlier, Gesicki has been great when T. Higgins is out. It's kind of it's weird, but he's kind of like the replacement, even though they play different positions. Don't ask me to explain it, but it just is that way. But Taysom Hill had 4 carries, 4 targets, and a pass attempt last week. And now there's no Kendre Miller and there's no Jamal Williams. So that means Taysom Hill is the number 2 running back. And they're going to use him at the goal line. I'm giving Taysom Hill the edge here. If your gut says the floor of Kincaid, I get it. You trust that, but Taysom Hill, I'm expecting him to be involved. McNichols, Javonte, or Pollard. I'm going with Pollard here. They did an elevated practice squad running back. And you know what? I'm giving McNichols the edge over Javonte. Baltimore stops the run without adding bodies. This is a bad matchup for them. He does get targets, but McNichols has shown when he's in a role in that backfield, that running game in Washington is really good. That offensive line is great, and the Giants have not been defending the run well. So I'm giving McNichols the edge over Javonte. I'm a crazy man, but look, it is what it is. And I guess I love Javonte. It's just he needs a matchup to be favorable, and it's not. All right, I got Shookson I got to find on here. That's good because it's being popped off here. Let's get figure out where we're at here. Come on now. Finding these questions is always. I wonder if I can do a control find. Shookson, there you are. There we are. Yeah, whenever I go to the super chat, it bounces me off the path where I'm looking for. Let me check for injuries real quick for everybody. Hang on. All right. KJ Osborne inactive. Not that you were using him, but there's that. We already know that Mason Rudolph was starting for Will Levis. We knew Tyjae Spears was out. L'Jarius Sneed we knew was out for Tennessee at corner. We knew that. Zamir White is active. So what? He's going to get his 3 carries now. He's been relegated. Again, Alexander Madison is going to see a bunch of volume. Matchup's not bad. Ike Ekwonu, the left tackle, we knew was out for Carolina. That certainly doesn't help Bryce Young. Trevon Diggs with a calf injury is active, but Jerry Jones deemed it a calf tear, so he didn't practice all week. So good luck. And if he's on Drake London, even better luck because I don't see it happening. But all that said, there's that. And I think that's all I have injury-wise. And we got 44 minutes here, so let me try to get you some questions. I get as many of you answered as possible. If you got to jump the line, you got the super chat option, but I will do my best to get as many as I can, and hopefully that means everyone. All right, Shookson, Murray, Darnold, Stafford, Cousins. Well, you'll see I had them ranked on here. I got Murray as my 6. I got Darnold over at 10. I got Cousins at 11, and then I got Stafford at 13. I got them all very good places. That's how I rank them, Shookson. Brian Thomas, Harrison, or Downs. If Brian Thomas was fully healthy, I'd have him as my number 1 because he's showing star potential. And again, you heard me say earlier, I'm worried that the Bears might do what they did earlier in the season and say, Jalen Johnson, go take their number 1 guy. They didn't do it with McLaurin last week, the dumb Bears. But anyway, I'm going to give Downs the edge here. I think Downs with Flacco has been gold. I don't think the Minnesota matchup scares me. Brian Thomas is less than 100%. Philly will put a lid over the top. They've been very good at playing Vic Fangio-style defense, so that's the way I look there. Shookson, Tillman, McConkey, or Dobbins. I think Tillman sees fewer targets. I think this is a very run-based game and a lower scoring game. Tillman could get the play action, deep shot, and connect. We have that going, but I think we can't gambling on that this week's a little bit tougher. I do like Tillman, but I just think when they're not trailing, it's a little different game. McConkey's had a great floor, but he is going to face a real tough cornerback trio. Denzel Ward is active. Dobbins has the safest floor. His efficiency is going down and down every week. It's not a good matchup, but he's going to get real volume. So I think Dobbins is your floor play. If you have to go boom bust, you're going to risk a super low floor, but maybe a big game, that's Tillman, because Winston likes to throw deep, and that's his deep threat. So you got something there. And the top 2 corners are out for the Chargers, although they do very well rotating their safeties deep, but Winston will take that throw. So, but Dobbins is your safest play. Kyle, Chase Brown or Montgomery? It's a great question. And I understand. It's very hard to sit David Montgomery. He has multi-touchdown upside every game he plays. The wet field makes it even more likely he's going to be involved. Green Bay's run defense is bad. The Lions' offensive line should overwhelm them. And I know Chase Brown's in a great spot, and I know that Zach Moss is out. I just think Montgomery's floor is rock solid. And if you go with your gut on this one, whatever your gut says is right, because Chase Brown can score 25 fantasy points. So can Monty. But so I can't tell you which one's going to do it. But Montgomery, to me, the matchup, the role, the type of game we're probably going to see with the wet field, I'm going Monty there. Again, you can't go wrong. You got a great option. Delroy. Oh, I got a super chat before I get Delroy. Let's see a super chat here. Chris, McLaurin or Tracy? Wow. Yeah, I know you wouldn't have the preseason asked that one, right? McLaurin, look, I've had to really come around on the fact that he is a big threat every single week, regardless of matchup, even when the stupid Bears don't put Jalen Johnson on him. McLaurin has been great every single week. And there is nothing scary about the Giants in this matchup. Now, Tracy's floor should be great. He gets the ball. He's been very productive. McLaurin hasn't had massive ceiling. I think ultimately trusting a running back who's high volume is smarter than trusting a receiver that's not scoring like 25-point games. So I think Tracy is ultimately safer. If Washington comes in and decides somehow, and I don't think they will, but could Dan Quinn cook up something to confuse them? Maybe. Tracy's safer. If it's my lineup, volume's king in fantasy football, and I'm probably trusting Tracy, but it's really hard to sit McLaurin because he has been gold every single week. So Tracy's the safest play. Again, they probably have similar upside because Tracy can find the end zone. That's probably the one. Man, I don't want to sit Terry McLaurin if it's my lineup. I don't want to sit him, but volume's king in fantasy football, and Tracy's probably getting 15, 18 touches. I see where we're at here. Like I said, I hate this. Always bumps me off my spot, and I got to figure where we're at. I think we're on Delroy here. DJ Moore, Amon Ra, Drake London, Zay Flowers, JSN, Bateman, and Robinson. So you always play London and St. Brown. I don't care that St. Brown got 2 targets last week. You cannot sit him. You cannot sit Drake London. He had a few targets last week. Can't sit them. Those are wide receiver ones every single week. After that, look, the best floor play of that group is JSN. He's going to get you that 7 targets. He's going to get you 5 to 7 catches. Going to get you 50 to 70 yards. Small chance of scoring a touchdown. You want to go boom bust, you go back to DJ Moore. He's had 3 terrible games in the last 4, but he also has a 2-touchdown, 100-yard game in there. And if the Bears, because of their bad coaching, had a moment to reflect this week, you're getting him involved. The matchup is not bad at all. The matchup is quite easy. So DJ Moore has high ceiling. So if you want the ceiling play, you go there. All right. So do I have a super chat or no? No, I'm caught up. Roshan or Singletary? Oh, man. Roshan has a better chance of scoring a touchdown, so I'm going with him. They both might see less than 5 touches. All right. Hey, you, Tua or Flacco? I'm going with Flacco. Sean McDermott has pretty much had Mike McDaniel's number for a while. And can Tua go off? Yes, but this matchup has shown consistently that they really limited Tua before that injury in week 1. He had a touchdown. They shut him down. I'm going with Flacco. Flacco has receivers. I think he gets enough done against Minnesota. I think it's a higher scoring game. It's hard to trust Tua against that defense right now. John, Mooney or Tillman? Mooney has a better floor this week. Now, Mooney has his only 2 good games, or big games, are against Tampa, but he normally gets you 50-ish yards. So I like him as a floor play. Like I said earlier, I think in the Tillman game, I think we're going to see a lot of running. We're going to see play action. And so I think that means that his targets go down to 4 to 6. Now, can Winston hit him on one? Yes. Chargers are very good at defending the deep pass. Their top 2 corners are out, but their safeties do a nice job of rotating. But I think Mooney's a safer floor play. If you got to go, and Mooney has some ceiling because this game could be a big shootout. So I'm giving Mooney the edge here. I love Tillman. Love Tillman. But I got to give Mooney the edge in this matchup. Dallas without a pass rush, too. That's a problem for them. Hawkinson or Laporta? Laporta has at least 50 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. Last week he had 6 targets, but he normally gets 1 to 3. But he's gotten it done 3 out of 4 weeks. And Hawkinson is his first game back. I don't know what his snap count's going to be. He's never played with Darnold. So I have, since you have a great option, play Laporta. He's gotten it done 3 of the last 4 weeks. Play Laporta and give Hawkinson a week to see what his real role in this offense is. His snaps could be limited here. Coming off an ACL, playing on a wet field too. Trying to think that through. No, not wet field. Scratch that. He's playing the game indoors, so we don't have to worry about that. I still think Laporta's your play. You got him producing on low targets. Roll him 1 more week. Laporta's got the wet field, but I'm still not worried enough about that. That's where I screwed up. The wet field for the wrong guy. Hurts. Julian Baker did great last week without his receivers, but he really did have an easy matchup. And this week, Kansas City has been a lights out defense. They're the best defense in the league. And I just can't see Baker getting it done. Jalen Hurts he ran in 3 last week. You got to play Hurts. Easy matchup. Don't overthink this one. Just go Hurts. Not like a commercial. Hertz cars. JKM. Hey to you. Appreciate you, man. Goff or Knicks? It's a good question. And you heard me on XM this morning. If you listen, look, Knicks has been great for fantasy. He's carved up some easy matchups. And you might say Baltimore's bad against pass, and you'd be right. But here's the thing. That whole offense is predicated on either A, facing a bad defense, or B, getting their run game going against a bad run defense, and then Nick's having easy shots. That's the problem. You don't run on Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't dedicate extra bodies to the run, and they stop it. Now they get sense of confusing looks at a rookie quarterback who, if he's in an obvious passing situation, he's in trouble. Knicks is in trouble today. Now, Goff, wet field, they're going to run a lot. He's counting on hyper efficiency because he's throwing between 15 and 25 passing game, but he gets it done most weeks. I don't like that Goff is outdoor. I think Knicks runs for something, though. I'm going to tell you this. Because of the running ability, Knicks has a better floor than Goff in a windy, rainy environment. But I think Goff has real upside. Goff could throw you 3 touchdowns, but he's risky. So Knicks doesn't have a great ceiling in his game. He's not going to have a ceiling game, but I think his floor is more stable than Goff's. But I have Goff at quarterback 9 because he's living on efficiency. Can he do it in bad weather? So boom bust is Goff. Knicks, just a good floor play with little ceiling. Master J3, Jacobs or Downs? Oh, you're really testing me here because volume's king in fantasy football, and Josh Jacobs is a bad matchup, but you know he's going to get the ball a ton, and that floor is good. But Josh Downs he is not like missed with Flacco, and I don't see this as a bad matchup. It's hard to sit the volume of Josh Jacobs. Jacobs has a rock solid high floor, very safe. There's always volatility with receivers, right? So you want to be safe. And I'm telling you, you're getting 12 to 14 points out of Josh Jacobs. That's 12 to 14 points is nothing to sneeze at. Downs is more upside. Downs could go for 100 and a touchdown. Wouldn't surprise me for a second. But again, with the receiver, you're taking some risk outs. If you want the super safe play, go Jacobs. But I do prefer Josh Downs here because of his chemistry with Flacco. But again, that could dry up at a moment's notice. So just be prepared. If you want to go safe, you got Jacobs. Mostert or Madison? Oh, man. Mostert had 7 carries for 9 yards against Buffalo last year. He didn't play in the Week 18 game. He didn't play in the Week 2 game this year. Buffalo really has Miami's number on offense. Achane is their guy. Achane's been crushing as a receiver. I know this sounds dumb, but Madison has an easy matchup against Cincy. Cincy will not sell out to stop the run. They would be stupid to do that because Madison's not crushing you. I give Madison the edge. Bowers, Kelsey, Montier. Wow. That's tough. I mean, they all the first week could go off. Hunt I'm going to put out because Tampa's better against the run than the pass. Hunt's efficiency's gone down each week. Montgomery probably has a minimum of 14 touches, good chance of scoring. But Bowers, when he has any matchup, Bowers just gets it done. Kelsey, when they need him, they use him. When they don't, he's been on and off. The safest play is Montgomery. A running back who gets goal line work is always your safest play. I think if you want to, and he has upside. You know what? Bowers is a great choice. I got to go with the running back against a bad run defense on a wet field. I like Montgomery there. Kelsey's been up and down. They might not need him a lot. Bowers is close. I'm going Monty. Devontae Smith or Josh Downs. Wow, that's a good one. Devontae had a great touchdown last week, but I don't think he gets consistent enough targets. Josh Downs is probably Joe Flacco's number 1. He probably is his number 1. Michael Pittman's there. I get it. Devontae Smith is a clear number 2. And usually when A.J. Brown doesn't go off in a week, they make sure to get him the ball. Flip a coin, but I'm going to go Josh Downs. It's a coin flip. If you like one better than the other, start them. But I can't make a compelling case to say one is like a slam dunk over the other. But Josh Downs has just been money with Flacco. Njoku or Otten. That's a tough one, Craig. Kansas City's the worst defense in the league against tight ends. But David Njoku, when he has a non-Deshaun Watson quarterback since last year, we see him just go bananas. Give me the better player. Give me Njoku here. Again, Otten is 10 targets 2 straight weeks. He has a great matchup. If your gut says Otten, start him. But Njoku has been money when he's playing with somebody not named Deshaun Watson. And he is such an insane athlete. So I'm going to go with him. But if you prefer Otten, trust your gut. Forever student, Tracy, Stevenson, Otten, leaning toward Tracy and Otten. I have nothing compelling to put you against that then. Go with it. Go with it. Stevenson is a better floor than Otten because Tennessee's numbers are good against tight ends. They're not. So there's that. You can, run on them all day. But if your gut says Tracy and Otten, I think it's compelling enough. Like I just said earlier, Kansas City's the worst defensive league against tight ends. Otten has 10 targets 2 weeks in a row. I think you trust your gut. JXC, Dobbs, Harrison Jr., or Shakir. So on the wet field, I'm worried about Jordan Love's groin injury. So I'm going to probably move Dobbs away for that reason. Harrison Jr., again, are the Bears going to be smart and put Jalen Johnson on him? 50-50 on that. If they do, that's a problem. Shakir, the slot corner, and a safety's out for Miami. And Shakir was like 5 for 50 against them in the first meeting. They only threw 19 times. Shakir has a better floor than Harrison Jr., but I don't know that Shakir's going off here. So if you need an upside play, the boom bust plays Harrison Jr. If you want a stable floor, you go Shakir. Van, sit one, Brown, Hubbard, or Tracy. I had the same one similar for somebody close before. Hubbard has such an easy matchup against New Orleans, and he could do it as a runner or receiver. New Orleans can't tackle, and that should be a high-scoring game. So I like Hubbard. Tracy and Chase Brown see similar volume. I think Chase Brown will have more room to run against Las Vegas, who will play the shell against Jamar Chase. So I'm going with Hubbard and Chase Brown here. If your gut says Tracy over Hubbard, I get it and trust your gut because Tracy's been electric and Washington is not a bad matchup. I would stash Ray Davis because I think Zamir White has fallen out of favor with the organization. And I think even if Madison were to go down, I don't think Zamir White has shown he's good this year. So Ray Davis, when he's on the field, is excellent. And if Cook were to miss time, we saw Ray Davis on that Monday night. You see what he can do. And that was a bad Jets defense. But yeah, I think you go to him. Chase Brown or Connor. We can make a great case for Brown. Connor has a great matchup this week. James Conner against the Bears. Bears are not a good run defense. They're not good against a power run offense. And what you see the Cardinals. They put 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, and they'll run it down. And I like James Conner here. I think James Conner's floor is safer than Chase Brown. They both are great plays. Both are great plays. So if your gut says one, go with it. But James Conner, this is a good matchup for him. And he has a better chance of scoring a touchdown, I believe. Reed or Pittman? Pittman has more upside. Reed has more upside. The wet field, if they're gonna, and we know the Lions play a lot of press man. So if Reed gets past somebody, it could be a big play, which he hasn't had any of in a long time. Pittman has a better floor. Pittman's going to catch you 5 catches, 50-ish yards. Nice, solid game. Better floor than Reed. So if you want a stable floor, go with Pittman. If you need 20 points, I don't think Pittman has that. Reed can hit that, but Reed is a lower floor. So make your choice. Look at your matchup. If you think you just want to bank those safe points and, a close game or game you have an advantage and take the points. But if you're an underdog and you got to swing for it, then you probably look at Reed. Melly Matrix, I'm going with Dak here. Little pass rush from Atlanta. And they finally, dumb Cowboys too, they finally figured out how to get CD like they did last year, move them over, weaponize them. They did in the second half of garbage time against San Francisco. They probably go back to that. I'm giving Dak the edge. I think it's a high-scoring game here. Mahomes, they don't want to throw if they don't have to. They really don't. They want to run the ball, let their defense win. As we know, Tony Pollard is active, just relaying that along to those who are here. They didn't elevate a running back to the practice squad, so I think they expect Pollard to play his normal role. I don't think Julius Chestnut gets more than a handful of carries because that's been the way it's gone. I think if they thought there was a chance that Pollard would be an injury risk in this game, I think they would have elevated somebody from the practice squad. They got Josh Kelly on there. I know he's terrible, but they would have elevated him. I think I'm caught up on Super Chats. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I'm caught up on those. Yeah, Chris. All right. We got another 26 minutes here. I'm going to try to answer these fast now. Most of the players you asked, I should have given rationale. So if you've been with me, you've heard it. So let's get rolling on these now. Let's see what we got here. Dobbs or Watson? Oh, man. Wet field, shorter passes, Dobbs. Jim, Tracy Brown or Brian Robinson, as you know, now is inactive. Brown has a higher ceiling. Tracy may have a higher floor. I think they have similar floors, though. So I'm giving Chase Brown the edge because I think he probably catches more passes in this game underneath. Defensively, I think it's a better matchup, too. Brent Clark, Harrison, Moore, Olave, Tracy, Ingram. You need 1 and 2. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 players on here. You need the volume of the running back, so Tracy. I think Olave gets you 8 to 10 targets, so Olave. And then I think your safest play of the remaining ones, Ingram has the highest floor. But I think if you want boom bust, you go with DJ Moore. They, again, 3 out of 4 games been terrible, but they got to get him going. But he's your boom bust play. So if you need, but Ingram's safer. All right, let's get back here. And next one. Thank you. Dowdler, Brian Thomas. I'm going with Brian Thomas. I hate the matchup. He's a superstar, though. Dowdle doesn't have a great matchup. And again, I'm going to try to cut the analysis short because you've heard this analysis in these players. Dubs and Harrison or Shakir. I may have answered that for you, but let me see here. Shakir is the safest, and the boom bust play is Harrison. Michael, morning to you as well. Myers, Dubs, DeAndre Hopkins, Waddle, Leggett, Etienne, or Tracy. So let's see. The highest floor, Tracy has a great floor, so you trust him as your flex. And at your wide receiver, you know what? I am going to give Waddle an edge over Myers. I love Myers' floor, but Waddle did well enough against Buffalo in the first matchup, and I think he gets enough done, and they're going to trail here. And I'm going to give Waddle the edge here. Christopher, flex 1. Nakua, Brown, or Dobbins. So I'm going to check the times on these games. The Chase Brown game is early because I want Nakua in there. And Dobbins is an early game. Oh, man, so you're kind of stuck there. I mean, you can't sit Nakua, but you don't know with 100% certainty he's active. You expect him to be. So if you want the safest play, you go Chase Brown because you don't have a pivot later. If you have a pivot later, then fine. But based on the fact you get the late versus early game, it's Chase Brown. But yeah, otherwise they're all at the same time. It'd be Nakua if active. Geno or Stafford. I'm going with Stafford there. Geno without Metcalf's a big deal. Alex, good morning to you. 2 receivers, Coleman, Hopkins, Wandale, Clayton. Why do I not know who Clayton is? You must mean Slayton or Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with Wandale and Hopkins for the floor. Coleman, again, without Cooper, I'm a little more distressed. If you want to go for upside, though, bench Wandale and play Coleman. Coleman's boom bust. He would be your upside play. But otherwise, for floor, it'd be Hopkins and Wandale this week. Slayton, I don't know what his role is going to be in this matchup. Dan Quinn's defense could be a little problematic for him. Michael, Madison, Bucky Irving, or Bigsby. Should you drop Warren and get Coker, Elijah Moore, Slayton, or Tolbert? You're probably going to need Warren could be better down the stretch. And with the running backs you have, you might need to play mix and match. So I'd probably not drop Warren right now. Of this group, I think Madison has volume and an easy matchup. So I would give Madison the edge here. Ferguson or Monty. Got to go with Monty. Guaranteed volume and great matchup. Mitch, more than you as well. Love or Winston. Look, Love has more upside, but Love is much riskier because of the wet field and the groin injury. Winston has a higher floor. I would be more inclined to start Jordan Love, but remember, he could get removed for injury. So you've got to bake that in. So if you can't deal with the risk here, you go with Winston, but all things equal, you're going to go with Love. Deontay or Marcus Robinson? I'm going with the Marcus Robinson. When Kupp or Nakua is on the field, since last year, he's at least 43 yards like in every game. I don't know that Deontay is going to get more than a couple targets here, especially against those outside corners they're facing here. I don't think it's a great matchup. And again, there's not going to be much chemistry yet between him and Lamar. Michael, good morning to you as well. I think I answered that for you. Glenn, Kareem Hunt or Jaden Reed? All right, so Hunt, his efficiency's gone down, but he finds the end zone most weeks, so that bails him out. The Jaden Reed hasn't been great. So if you want a safe floor of about 10 points, you probably go with Hunt. Jaden Reed has a little lower floor, but I do think with all the man, you go with Jaden Reed for upside. You want the upside play, it's Jaden Reed. If you want just a real basic floor, go with Hunt. said I'd answer these fast. I got to do better. I got to get to everybody's questions. I know I got a ton of them sitting here. Sleek, Ridley, Harrison Jr., or Pollard. Look, Ridley had the great game last week, but before those 3 weeks combined, I think he had a total of like 10 PPR points. I'm going with Harrison Jr. and Pollard here. Ridley's just Ridley has more upside than Harrison Jr. because of that big game last week. So if you want to go boom bust Ridley, well, otherwise Harrison safer. Pollard for sure. I'm going with Otten. I know Kansas City's terrible against tight ends, and he's getting a lot of targets. Ricardo, Love, or Darnold? Same answer for somebody else earlier. I think Darnold, though. I think that's our Darnold. I have Darnold as a solid floor play. Love and the wet field with the groin what worries me. So I would start Darnold because it's safer. He's closer in the rankings. Good morning. Not feeling confident with Love. Yeah, I know. Javonte, Algier, Tillman, and Dubs starting Bijan and well as well. A bad matchup for Javonte, I know. I'm gonna, you know what, Tillman's boom or bust, but I'm gonna sit Javonte. I think Tyler Algier gets you 60 yards against Dallas in a backup role. I think Javonte just is a bad matchup here, and I don't want to use him here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Algier, Tillman, and Dubs. Can't believe I'm sitting Javonte there. If your gut says Javonte over Tillman, Tillman's a little more boom bust this week. Alex, Chuba, I got to go with Chuba here because New Orleans can't tackle anymore for some reason, and Javonte is a horrible matchup. Randy, all right. Randy, I'm going with DeMarcus Robinson both. Coker ultimately gets hurt by Deontay Johnson being on because he's going to likely see like normal coverage now, and I can't trust Bryce Young, and I think he could keep the job. And that's a real problem. DeMarcus Robinson, when his other receivers are on the field, when he has Cooper and Nakua, he's at least 40 yards a game. And I'll take that. Carolina's a disaster. And I know Coker's a decent player, but I'm going to go with DeMarcus Robinson. Next. Boston. Cooper's out. You know that already. You asked a question early. So Downs. And then I'm going to go with Chase Brown over Dobbins because Dobbins does not have a good matchup. His efficiency's gone bad every week. I'm worried about Watson this week because Jordan Love with the groin. I think throwing downfield, they might not want longer developing plays. They might want quick hitters. Now, can Watson get a quick hitter? Yes, but I think Watson's the one that's the loser in that one. So I think he's extreme boom bust. Like we could see 1 for 6, or we could see 3 for 90 in a touchdown. Because if he does get a slant, he could go. But betting on that's tough. So he's more bust than boom. Kyler versus Flacco, ball maniac. Kyler can run, and I know the matchup's not great. I'm giving Kyler the floor edge here. The boom bust is Flacco. If you want to shoot for things, Flacco could have a big game, but I do think Minnesota could confuse him and give him issues. So there's a lot of risk with Flacco. Kyler's way safer because he'll run. DJ Moore and Tillman. Again, I don't think we see as much passing this week from Cleveland. I think they're going to be a run-based, lower-scoring game. So I think I'm going to give DJ Moore as bad as he's been, giving him the edge in this one. Yeah, hard for me to call a sneaky DST. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Volmaniac. Swift Olave or Jonathan Taylor. Wow. Swift's been playing great. Swift is an easy matchup. As much as I love Olave, as much as I love Taylor, Swift has been money 4 games in a row, and this is an easy matchup. Swift. Any of them work. Trust your gut. Stem T. All right, let's see. Ricardo, Tracy or Eckler or White. Tracy should have the best volume of the group. White is a bad matchup, but I think Eckler is going to get a little more volume, but not in the Tracy range. Thomas, Darnold or Murray. Got Murray ahead in my rankings. I don't think Darnold is a big upside game here. So I'm going to give Murray the edge. 6-point passing touchdown makes it closer. Makes it way closer. I said that for some, maybe you asked that earlier, but somebody did. Both are defensible. I think for the running, I'd give Murray the edge. Running back from Brian Robinson out. You know that because you asked earlier. Dobbins, Chubb, or Moore. I'm going with Nick Chubb there. Robinson's out, as you know. I'm going with McLaurin. Ridley had the 1 game, but he was horrible the 3 prior. McLaurin has been great in every game since like week 3. Brian. All right. I don't know what that means. Tracy. Yeah. Lamar's number one. Everybody out there, I don't know what happened to the copy and paste. I have no idea what happened there. Lamar's my number one quarterback this week, so thank you, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah, anybody who tuned in late, I don't know. I'm an idiot copying and pasting. I definitely don't have clerical skills, so yeah, I screwed that up. Lamar's number one every week. Every week, Lamar's number one. I'm sorry, my bad. Morning. Let me see if I can fix that. Actually, I don't even know if I could get to that. Let's see if I can put. Yeah, I can find this here. And let me just. Yeah, I'm going to do this real quick for everybody. I'm just going to do a little insert. Give me a second here. I don't want somebody walking in and seeing that. So, Rose. Let me see. I got to do. Oh, this is tough. Shift and down, and let's put Lamar up here at number one for everybody. That should be. That should do us. All right, we should be better off now. Did it take? Yeah, it took. All right. Now we look better. All right, let's see where we're at here. So, big fella. Pollard, Tracy, Dobbins, or McConkey. I'm giving Pollard the edge over Tracy here. It's a great matchup against New England. And again, since they didn't elevate or practice on winning, I think they're confident he's good. Frank, need a flex 12-man. Bigsby, Rashad White, Reed, or Dobbs, or Irving. Your boom bust play is Jaden Reed because, again, the wet field and the possibility, a lot of the man coverage, you could get behind something. The best floor play is Rashad White. Terrible match, but he catches passes, and that means a ton. So White's your floor play, and Reed is your boom bust play. Joshua, Saints or the Chiefs defense? Saints are missing like 3 corners. I'm going with the Chiefs here. Baker's probably throw a couple picks. All right, good, Gab. All right, looks like you're saying something. A comment there, maybe. Olave or Tracy? That's a tough one too. I expect Olave to get 8 to 10 targets. No Rashid Shaheed. Carr is back. Nobody to really stop him. Tracy's a great play. Trust your gut. I'm going Olave. I think Olave scores a touchdown. I think Olave gets 90 yards here. But Tracy's a great play. Tracy's a phenomenal play. So if your guts is Tracy, trust it. I'm giving Olave the edge. Mayfield or Prescott. Prescott. No pass rush from Atlanta, and Mayfield is going to see a tough matchup. And no, go with Prescott. I have him as a high end quarterback. It's going to be a shootout. Jim. All right, you need 4 of these. All right, let's see which 4. So we are going with Irving should have a floor because he's going to see volume as a runner and a passer. Tillman's a little boom busty, but in this group, I like him. Mostert was terrible, 7 for 9 carries, 9 yards in his last meeting against Buffalo. Buffalo has their number. I'm at Bigsby in a shared role. I'm in a tough match. I'm still giving Bigsby an edge here. And then, so the one I'm going to sit Wandale and I'm going to sit Mostert. If it was full PPR, I'd play Wandale, but half no. So I'm going to sit Mostert and Wandale. Brian, good morning. JSN or Dobbs? I'm giving JSN the edge here with the wet field. I think he gets more targets and has a higher floor. John, pivot Monday to Jarrett or Sean Tucker. McMillan issue. If McMillan somehow doesn't play, I would pivot to Jarrett, or I would much prefer to go with, Demarcus Robinson and Gesicki are both great calls this week. Gesicki's been great whenever T. Higgins doesn't play. Marcus Robinson, whenever Kupp or Nakua's in the field, he has a good floor. Gesicki's still Gesicki. That's the problem. Demarcus Robinson safer. I think Gesicki has a little more upside than Demarcus Robinson. That's the route I would go. I would go that route. Robinson for floor. Gesicki has a little higher of a ceiling. All right. Ingram, can't go wrong here. Cannot go wrong here. I have him as my 4 or 5 tight ends. Ingram probably gets more targets in this one because of the matchup against Philadelphia. But it's, like I said, I have them identical, so you can't go wrong. All right, next. Hey there, Sarah Densmore. Dak or Stafford? Again, I like Dak this week. Very little passers from Atlanta. I think they figured out, I don't know how they lost touch, but how to re-weaponize Lamb in the second half last week. I think they continue that shootout game there. DJ Moore, Brian Robinson, or Tracy. And I know because you asked this question, that Brian Robinson is out now. Tyrone Tracy is way, way, way safer than DJ Moore, who's at 30 yards or less in 3 of his last 4 games. But DJ Moore could have that game. Arizona's terrible on defense. So if you need to shoot for the ceiling, you want to shoot for a 20-point game, that's in Moore's range of outcomes. Tracy's way safer, 10 to 14. So that's the way I would go on that. But if you want to shoot for the moon, Moore could have that game here. They need to get him going, but Tracy's way safer. All right, let's see. Devontae Adams going forward. He wants another trade. Nice. Oh yeah, we'll see what happens here. I don't know. He had the game last week, so there's that. Right now, it's very hard to trust him as more than a wide receiver 3 because I don't know if he slid at all in terms of playing ability. He won on a single play downfield. Yeah, Lamar Antonio Brown. I trust him as a wide receiver 3 going forward, regardless of where his location is. Brian Pope, need 2. Waddle, Ridley, Sutton, Tillman. I would be inclined to trust Waddle. He had a good game in the first time before Tua got knocked out. Sutton, in theory, has a decent matchup because the Baltimore corners haven't been great. I would go Waddle and Sutton. It's hard to trust Ridley coming off of one good game after 4 terrible ones. Tillman, I think, is a little more boom buster, but I think Sutton is similar. I think Sutton has a higher baseline of targets. I think Tillman has more upside. So Sutton would be your floor play. Tillman would be your boom bust as your number 2. Killer Cole, Mayfield, or Murray. I'm going with Murray here. I really am worried about the Kansas City matchup. Brian Adams, yeah, nice. I know. I like that Antonio Brown call. I got 9 more minutes. I got to fly through these if we can. I'm just to do the what for these last ones so we can get you out in 9. Tracy, Mooney, Hopkins, Shakir for flex. Tracy, safest. Pollard, Dobbins, Tracy, Pitts, or McConkey. How many do you need? 1 in a flex. Pollard and Tracy. Jennifer Simpson, Burrow or Flacco. Giving Burrow the edge in an easy matchup here. Harrison, Hunt, Odunze, McConkey. And in this group, I am giving Harrison the edge. Chelsea, Denver, D, pickup Titans. Keep Denver. You need them for next week. You don't want to put them in the waiver wire because and they could do something for you here. The Titans might not do much anyway. They might get run on. Potato Tickler, Knicks or Geno. Oh, that's close. You know what? Both have tough draws here. I think Knicks runs for more yards, so I give Knicks the edge. Puka, Hawkinson, ETN. All right, so since you don't know 100% that Puka's playing, we think he is. Play ETN early, and then if Puka's active in the late window, start him. If he's inactive, go to Hawkinson. I just think that's the safest way to go for your lineup. All right, start with a flex one. Pollard, Tracy, Dobbins, McConkey. Go with Pollard and Tracy. All right, let's take a comment. I don't think we sit Taylor here. With the blitzing that Minnesota does, we could see Taylor break a long one. I know those are great options. Taylor looked good last week. I'm going to play Taylor. All right, let's see what we got here. More anyone. Elijah Moore, DJ Chark is inactive, or Alec Pierce. Man, your boom bust is Alec Pierce. Moore should catch 3 to 4 passes, so he has a higher floor. Tua or Winston? Winston has a higher floor. Tua's your boom bust play, but Buffalo's had their number, so it's nerve wracking. Winston to be safer, but if you got to shoot for ceiling, it'd be Tua. Yogi, Brian Robinson, Dobbins, Downs. You need 1. It's going to be Downs right now. Dobbins' deficiencies increasing, and Brian Robinson, as you know, is out. Love, Flacco, or Bo Nix. Love is the highest ceiling, but he's the riskiest because of the groin injury in the wet field. Otherwise, Flacco would be the pivot. Bateman, Washington, or Gesicki. You know what? I'm going to go Gesicki. Or whenever T. Higgins has been out, Gesicki's been gold. No, I totally get it. And because, like I said, Love, it's with the wet field, it's a concern. I think we answered that for you already. Indy O-line is but remember, Indy is down there, left tackle Bernard Raymond. Right guard Will Freeze has been out. So it is a great line, but just be careful. There's a little bit of a concern there. Gardner Minshew. All right. Here we go. More comment. I would probably start Dobbs over those 2. Addison hasn't done much, and Keenan Allen. I would probably go with Dobbs. If you want a boom bust, if Nakua's out, it'd be Keenan Allen. Mostert, Eckler, Ridley, Pollard. I'm giving Pollard the edge here. He seems healthy enough. Brown, Hubbard. I'm going Brown and Hubbard here. Hunt's deficiency is declining, and Tampa's been better against the run. Stafford or Mayfield? I'm going with Stafford. I'm very worried about Mayfield's matchup. All right, somebody's commenting. All right, Brian Thomas or Tillman? You know what? I don't like Brian Thomas's matchup, but I think his floor is higher than Tillman's. I think there's going to be a lot of running in that game. I'm going to go Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas or Khalil Shakir? Shakir has a higher floor. Cater Co, who's out, and the strong safety's out. Free safety, Javon Holland's out. Thomas is less than 100%. I'm going to give Shakir a slight edge. If you want to go for ceiling, you can get that boom bust game from Thomas, even though it's a bad matchup for him. All right, next one, Chase Brown, JSN, Sutton. I'm giving Chase Brown the edge, floor and ceiling. Tight end, Ertz, Hawk, or Kraft. I'm going to go Crafter. He got 3 targets, but he tends to do it on it. I'm going to give him the edge there. Not sure Hawk's role is. Herbert, Kincaid, or Young. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to give Bryce Young the edge because all the cornerbacks are out for New Orleans. I think we answered that for you already. Shane, Tracy, Odunze, or Dobbs. Got to go Tracy for the floor. Armin, Coker, Leggett, or Wandale. I'm going to give Leggett the edge here because the corners are out for New Orleans. Dimitri, start 2. Tracy for floor. And you know what? I'm going Ramondre too. I love Ramondre's matchup this week. I'm going to go with McNichols here. I think his floor is a little higher than Robinson's, and I think he potentially has a little more ceiling. I love Robinson too. All right. Brian Thomas, Sutton, Myers, or JSN. Pick 2. Hard to sit Thomas, even though he's a little less than 100%. Hard to sit Thomas, and JSN has the best floor of the remaining 3. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go. Oh man, I'm going to go with the Tennessee defense here. I think the Browns move the ball easily. Gary, what do you got here? Half per first down too. Smith and Jake. I'm going. They're all are equal. Like they're all are equal. I'm going to give Shakir the edge here because the slot corner and the free safety are out for Miami. All right, 3 more minutes. I'm going to get through as many as I can here. Jorge, Olave, Chase Brown, London. Oh my gosh, a sit 1. You got to start London, and it's super close between Olave and Chase Brown. I'm starting Olave and sitting Chase Brown, but I get it if your gut says the other way. I'm going to go with that. All right, Brown or Hunt. I'm going to go Chase Brown in that one. And then I'm going to go, oh, man, I'm going to go Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown's floor is higher than McLaurin's here. Can't go wrong on that one. All right. Shakir, Leggett, or Dowdle. I'm going Shakir as the highest floor of that group. Otten or Pitts. I think Otten has a higher floor here. And a similar ceiling. I'm going to go with Otten. Waddler. I'm going to go with Waddle here. Going to go with Waddle. I think he did decent enough in the first matchup against Buffalo. The coolest answer at Addison. I think I answered that for you already. No, I didn't answer that one already. Chelsea. Let's see. We're going to go with Dobbs in this situation. We're going to go with Dobbs here. He should get enough done. Jeffrey, Dowdle, Madison, Mooney, Myers, White, need 2 PPR league. Oh, wow. These are all like fairly equal shots here. I'm going to go with Myers and Moon. I'm going to go to receivers. Unlike usual, I'm going to go with receivers here. If Madison over Mooney is a possibility, consider that one, but I'm going to go with Myers. I think he has a high floor here. White or Tracy. I'm going to go with Tracy. I think he gets more volume. Pat, Bengals D. Gardner Minshew probably screws up. Ingram gets more targets. I would go with Ingram. Pollard, Chubb. Oh man, impossible call. I would sit Tracy. I think Chubb goes off here, but if your gut says Tracy, play him over Chubb. But I'm gonna go Pollard and Chubb. All right, I got 1 minute here. Let's see who has questions here, comments here. That's super close, Matt. Great question. I'm going to give Brian Thomas Jr. the little bit of an edge here. Jay, appreciate you. I'm going to go with Tillman over Hopkins here. I think they have similar floors. I think Tillman has a little more ceiling. Start one in a flex. We're going Pollard and Tracy there. Take a couple more questions. Unfortunately, I wish I could get to everybody. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to run out of time here. All right. Tracy, Shakir, Ramondre. I think I answered for somebody. Tracy and Ramondre are the safest. You could decide to sub out Shakir from Ramondre, but I think they have the safest floors of them all. And again, I'm sorry, everybody. I wish I had time for more questions in the future. If you want to jump the line, you could do the super chat function. We got 1,200 people in here. Thank you for joining me. Good luck this week. Wish I could stay longer, but I've got to get a few things done because I got to work till late night. All right, everybody. Good luck. Have a great day, and I'll talk to everybody soon.